Hello, today we will be looking at aggregate demand and aggregate supply models. Specifically, we will be constructing just the basic economic model in which the AD and AS model is at long-run equilibrium. So, we know that the aggregate demand curve shows the relationship between overall price level and output in an economy. The aggregate supply curve shows the relationship between overall price level in the economy and the total production by firms. The short-run aggregate supply curve represents the quantity of total output produced at each level. The long-run aggregate supply curve represents potential output in an economy. So, in the space provided below, construct the basic economic model illustrating long-run equilibrium in the aggregate demand and aggregate supply model. Label the following on the graph below: the aggregate demand curve, the short-run aggregate supply curve, and the long-run aggregate supply curve. So we will begin by constructing the axes. So the x-axis represents GDP, or Y. The y-axis represents price level. Then we will begin by drawing the aggregate demand curve, which is downward sloping. Next, the short-run aggregate supply curve, which we know is upward sloping. Now, the long-run aggregate supply curve is just a vertical line right here. We know that at this point right here represents E1, which is long-run equilibrium. So now that we have the basic model represented, we can answer these questions to the side. What causes the aggregate demand curve to slope downward? Well, this is going to be due to the wealth effect, which is consumption, the interest rate effect, which is I, and the foreign purchases effect, which represents net exports. What causes the short-run aggregate supply curve to slope upward? Well, this is because quantity supplied increases when the price rises, or sticky input prices, which are the prices when final goods increase more quickly than input prices, and firms' revenue increases as the price of final goods rises while input prices have not adjusted yet. So, when quantity supplied increases when price rises. Sticky input prices. All right. Why is the long-run aggregate supply curve vertical? Well, this is because potential output is not affected by the price level. Well, there you have it. Here's the basic economic model of the aggregate supply and aggregate demand.